Bush's interviews with Robert Draper. Now, we told you how he compared himself to Lincoln, and he's done it over and over again with how he compares himself to Truman and Winston Churchill, how he doesn't take things very seriously. Number one, he's saying that he's training Maliki, the Prime Minister of Iraq. And I just found this to be both serious and comical and dangerous, because he really fancies himself a mentor to Maliki. He told Robert Draper, the author, that he thought it was the president's job to, quote, inspire the novice politician. As if George Bush is the teacher here and the professor, and this poor Iraqi schlep, what would he know about politics? He only got elected in Iraq. And he managed, not only did he get elected, but he worked the labyrinth Byzantine politics of Iraq to put himself in the top position. He says here, here's a quote from Bush. He's learning to be a leader. And one of my jobs as the president and his ally is to help him be that leader without being patronizing. At some point in time, if I come to the conclusion that he can't be the leader, he's unwilling to lead or he's deceptive, then we'll change course. But I haven't come to that conclusion. As a matter of fact, his recent actions have inspired me. Okay. I love how he's trying not to be patronizing to someone else. Meanwhile, Maliki's got to be in the room thinking, get a load of this clown. He thinks he's teaching me politics, and he's inspiring me like I'm a child. The whole thing is patronizing. I mean, what, you think just because he's Iraqi he doesn't know what the hell he's doing? He knows what he's doing 1,000 times better than you do. He's playing you for a fool, which, of course, you conveniently fit that role. And so Maliki and Bush get in the room, and it's so easy for Maliki to trick Bush. So he gets Maliki in a room alone. He's like, they're all meeting. They got all their advisors, the U.S. advisors and the Iraqi advisors. He says, and Bush says dramatically, you know what? I want everybody to clear a room. I just want to look at him eye to eye. Okay, instantly, you already know he's a clown. And he gets him in there and he says, you know what? I'm going to put General Petraeus in charge here, okay? And Maliki doesn't like Petraeus because Petraeus works with the Sunnis to empower them to fight against Al-Qaeda, right? So he's like, I got no interest in anybody giving money or weapons to the Sunnis. So he tries to convince Bush not to bring Petraeus. And Bush says, listen, you got to understand me. I know this guy, and I trust this guy, okay? And Maliki's like, I guess I can't change his mind. Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, if you say so. Totally. And then later, Maliki picks his general for Baghdad security. And his first general, Abu Janbar. And our guys, like General Casey, are like, whoa, no, not that guy, right? And so Bush goes and voices concerns to Maliki. My guys say I'm not sure about that. And Maliki leans in just like Bush did to him and says, I know him, and I trust him, okay? And Bush is like, oh, he turned it around on me. I like that. Okay, then you get him. The guy's a total imbecile. I mean, it's the most obvious little trick that you could do. And you say, all right, you got your guy, so I'm going to get my guy. And Bush thinks it's all real. Like, he's like, oh, he trusts him. Well, if he trusts him and I trust Maliki, then I'm going to go ahead and do that. I mean, he's a child playing on a stage he has no... And then the great irony is he thinks he's training Maliki. All right, so here's one more quote about the Maliki thing. He says he gets... and this is very, very telling because it's telling about what's actually happening on the ground, okay? At one point, he gets Maliki alone again, and he says, it looks like Saddam's going to run your country. Okay, Muqtada al-Sadr. That's fascinating because that's a Bush admitting right there that he thinks things aren't going well at all, and that the cleric that we've been against this whole time, Muqtada al-Sadr, inside the White House, they must be thinking he's going to win. I mean, that's a huge quote. And I haven't seen the press play that up at all. I mean, they're talking about the hot dogs, and they're talking about the crying. But that's a giant admission right there that Bush thinks that Muqtada al-Sadr, and obviously he doesn't just think that. The White House must have told him that. His advisors must have told him that. And so Maliki knows that this clown is easily influenced by, trust me, listen, okay? And looking into the eyes and such. So he says, I swear to God, al-Sadr will not run this country. Bush instantly buys it. He goes, well, I'll put my neck out if you put your neck out. What does that mean? Maliki's like, must have been laughing hysterically after the meeting. It's like, man, this guy's a total idiot. It's the easiest thing in the world to manipulate this guy. Trust me, I swear to God. Look into my eyes. Look deeply into my eyes, Bush. Bush, look into my eyes. I tell you, he will not run my country. I will. Bush says, okay, I'm with you then.